Ah, the beach, the perfect spot to unwind on a sunny day, especially during a hard-earned vacation. But not all beaches are the serene tropical paradises we imagine. Some are home to bizarre and downright terrifying finds that might just make you reconsider your next seaside escape. From massive monster skeletons to an army of mysterious blobs, here are the 20 craziest discoveries ever found on a beach. Number 20. Shoe containing human foot washed up on BC beach. A severed foot was found in a shoe on the west coast of Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. Or should I say another severed foot, because since 2007 at least 16 severed feet have been found, usually wearing their shoes in the Pacific Northwest. Reports say that a family walking along the beach on Vancouver Island found the most recent one. Charlotte Stevens said that her husband found the foot while walking along the botanical beach. It was the 13th foot to wash up in British Columbia alone. Regional coroner Matt Brown said that the brand of shoe on the foot hadn't been available prior to about March of 2013, which would help him with the investigation. Some experts say that severed feet are a sign that the body was underwater for a long time. If that's the case, the extremities fall off first. Other theories include organized crime, human trafficking, mass suicide, or a plane crash. Some of the owners of the 16 feet have already been found and named. 2 of the feet came from people with mental illnesses, and 3 came from people who died of natural causes, according to investigations. In none of the cases is foul play suspected, but it also hasn't been totally ruled out for the unsolved ones. Number 19. Naval mine found on Lauderdale-by-the-Sea beach. Sea creatures often wash up on Florida beaches, but what about naval mines? In April of 2021, a possible military explosive training device washed up on the beach in Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, Florida. This scared the police half to death. The object was found on the beach by a deputy on patrol on Sunday morning. It wasn't just a peculiar sight, but a reminder of the lingering remnants of military operations that occasionally resurface in unexpected places. Beachgoers were left in suspense as they watched from a safe distance, wondering if they had stumbled into a real-life action movie set. The shiny metallic object, covered in rust and barnacles, looked menacing under the Florida sun, adding to the drama of the moment. While it was eventually determined to be harmless, the incident sparked conversations about the frequency of such occurrences and how prepared authorities are to handle them. Authorities said that deputies secured the area around the object and closed off a small part of the beach. Even though the object had the word inert written on it, the bomb squad from the Broward Sheriff's Office investigated it, and the U.S. Air Force also launched an investigation. Officials said that the bomb squad and the Air Force checked the sea mine and decided that it was safe. They then took it off the beach. Soon, the beach was back open, which made everyone happy, and anyone who didn't want to be throwing a naval mine around like a frisbee, I guess. Number 18. Creepy dolls washing up on Texas beach. Scientists often look for sea turtles, marine mammals, and endangered bird species along the coast. But when they look along the Texas coast, they often find not just marine life, but a lot of trash. Bizarrely, creepy dolls seem to be one of the most popular things they find. Researchers at the Mission Aransas Reserve say that dolls have been washing up on Texas beaches in a strange way for years. On their Facebook page, the reserve keeps track of the most interesting ones. The scary castaways are usually in pretty bad shape, with barnacles all over them or missing limbs, hair, and eyes. One of the most recent dolls that the group shared was a doll with barnacles growing out of its eyes. Yikes, that's pure horror. In a video about beachcombing, Jace Tunnell, the director of the Mission Aransas Reserve at the University of Texas Marine Institute, said that he and his coworkers find dolls every time they survey a 40-mile stretch of beach from North Padre Island to Matagorda Island. The first doll they found was, in fact, the head of a sex doll. The UT Marine Science Institution found that the area around the Texas coastal bend is kind of a trash magnet. 10 times as much trash is deposited on the beaches of the Texas coastal bend than on regular beaches. This is because of a loop current that goes from the Yucatan Peninsula to Florida and pushes trash toward the Texas Gulf. But this doesn't explain how dolls, sex dolls or otherwise, end up in the ocean around there. Number 17. Huge monster washed up on Bondi Beach. In an event earlier in the summer of 2022, people at Bondi Beach woke up to find something shocking on the famous sands on an early Friday morning. Early risers who went to the beach saw a very strange sight. A huge hole from the upside down had opened up in the sand. Tentacle-like vines grew out of the glowing red center of the rift, and people stopped what they were doing that morning to look at the strange sight, which had never been seen before. Bondi Rescue's well-known lifeguards set up a safe area around the strange structure while they looked closely at the rift. As the rift drew more and more people, there was a lot of talk about what it was. Finally, it came out that the upside-down rift meant that Stranger Things 4 had come to Australia. If you didn't know, Stranger Things is one of Netflix's most popular shows, and it has brought in a record number of viewers. So, it turns out this whole thing was a promotional moment for Australian viewers. Number 16. Lego keeps washing up on a British beach. On February 13th of 1997, stormy weather caused a Tokyo Express container ship to tilt more than 45 degrees, which caused 62 containers to fall overboard. One of these boxes held 4.8 million Lego pieces. Even though it's been more than 23 years, Lego bricks still wash up on the Cornish coast in southwest England. Delia Webb of the Cornish Plastic Pollution Coalition says that volunteer beach cleaners still find Lego all the time. She calls it a sobering reminder of how long plastics last in our environment. The World Shipping Council says that, on average, 1,382 containers were lost at sea each year between 2008 and 2019. In the most recent years, between 2014 and 2016, the number of lost containers went down by close to 50%. But containers still get lost because of problems with how they're stored, tied down, or even declared. A lot of containers are also lost at sea because of bad weather, ships running aground, structural problems, and crashes between the ships. It might not be surprising that many of the broken containers carry plastics and other very durable goods, which can stay in the ocean for decades, just like these Lego pieces that have been found on the beaches in Cornwall. Damn, and I always wanted a Lego pirate ship too, but they were always sold out when I was a kid. I guess I know now where they ended up, appropriately enough, in Davy Jones' locker. Now it's time for today's topic. A serene morning on the remote shores of Vancouver Island, Canada, turned into a scene from a science fiction film when beachgoers stumbled upon a colossal and unrecognizable creature washed ashore. The massive beast, measuring over 30 feet in length, had a bulbous head, tentacle-like appendages, and sharp, jagged teeth protruding from its gaping mouth. Its grotesque appearance left locals and scientists in awe and confusion. Witnesses described the creature as emitting a faint, pungent odor and covered in slime, with its thick, leathery skin dotted with barnacles, suggesting it had lived deep in the ocean. Marine biologists were called to the site and quickly cordoned off the area for examination. Initial observations revealed features that didn't entirely match any known species, sparking speculation about its origins. Some theorized it could be a mutated deep-sea creature, affected by rising ocean temperatures or pollution. Others believed it might be an ancient species brought to the surface by tectonic activity or shifting underwater currents. Conspiracy theorists even speculated it could be linked to secret military experiments or evidence of extraterrestrial life in the ocean. While samples were sent to labs for further study, the creature's sudden appearance raises questions about what mysteries the deep sea still holds, and whether humanity is prepared to confront them. Could this be a sign of more unknown creatures lurking in the depths? Number 15. Mysterious green balls wash up on a Sydney beach. Are they from another planet or a natural event? Back in 2014, the early morning surfers and walkers were shocked to find thousands of alien-like eggs on a beach in Sydney, Australia. People on the beach said they had never seen anything like it before. They called the balls alien eggs, alien hairballs, Japanese moss balls, and UFOs, which in this case stood for unidentified floating objects. Scarlett de Villiers, who lives in the nearby town of Davidson, saw the strange balls during her usual morning walk along the beach. It struck me how perfectly shaped they all were and how green and alive they looked, she said. People think the balls are a very rare type of green algae with long threads. These living things are called marumo in Japanese and lake ball or cladophora ball in English. Sometimes you can find them in freshwater lakes in the northern hemisphere. The word agrogropolis denotes free-living algae, that is, algae that aren't attached to rocks, which tend to form balls. The rough waves and warmer weather are thought to have brought the floating algae balls to the shore. No one knows why algae gathers into balls. One idea is that the ball shape protects the algae from fish that want to eat them. Another idea is that it helps the algae roll back into the water so they don't dry out when they wash up on shore. Or maybe they really are alien basketballs, who knows? We've all seen Space Jam though, right? Number 14. Millions of jellyfish-like creatures wash up on western U.S. beaches. In 2015, about 1 billion purple sailors that look like jellyfish washed up on U.S. West Coast beaches. The animals, called by-the-wind sailors or velella, got stuck on the beach and piled up like a carpet of deflated blue and purple party balloons. These animals usually float on the surface of the open ocean, using a hard triangular sail to ride the wind and water currents to find food. Their vibrant colors and translucent bodies, which shimmer in the sunlight, make them appear almost otherworldly, drawing the fascination of beachgoers. Scientists believe that their mass strandings are a natural phenomenon, but the sheer scale of the event raised questions about shifts in wind patterns and ocean currents possibly linked to climate change. The stranded Velella can emit a faint, fishy odor as they decompose, creating a stark contrast to their ethereal beauty when alive. This combination of curiosity and discomfort often leaves a lasting impression on those who witness such strandings. But when the wind changes direction, they are pushed toward the shore, where they are almost certain to die. These animals are related to jellyfish, so they can also sting. Velella are predators, hunting tiny plankton on the surface of the ocean. Their tentacles, about 1 centimeter long, are used to sting their prey and catch it. They don't hurt people, but a very small number of people have allergic reactions to their stings. The tentacles hanging down into the water also keep the body steady, allowing the sail to work like a yacht's keel. Number 13. 26-foot basking shark washes up on shore. Here's another story that happened earlier in the year 2022, but this one doesn't have a happy ending. A 26-foot-long male basking shark washed up on the shore of Greenland Cove. Fishermen in Bremen, Maine, reported it to the state's Department of Marine Resources. People aren't sure yet how the shark, which was about as long as 2 small cars parked end-to-end, died. Basking sharks are known for their gentle, filter-feeding nature, making their deaths a significant loss to marine ecosystems. Some experts speculate that boat collisions or entanglement in fishing gear could have played a role. Others wonder if environmental factors, such as changes in water temperature or pollution, may have contributed. These giants, despite their size, are vulnerable to human activity and shifting oceanic conditions. Scientists from the Department of Marine Resources took samples to determine the cause of death and to learn more about its age, diet, and genes. The only fish bigger than basking sharks are whale sharks. The Florida Museum of Natural History states that while whale sharks tend to live in warm tropical waters, basking sharks inhabit Arctic and temperate waters close to land. This makes them the largest fish found near New England and in the North Atlantic. Number 12. Cocaine packages wash up on Baldwin beaches. On a Monday night in May of 2021, some late-night beachgoers in Gulf Shores were shocked when strange packages started washing up on shore. Police in Gulf Shores said that by midnight that night, 30 bundles of cocaine had been found. One of the packages had a picture of the notorious drug kingpin Pablo Escobar, who died in 1993, on the outside. I can only imagine how much more exciting the late-night beach party got when they discovered what was inside the packages. Here are a couple of Escobar facts. He was said to be worth $25 billion and tried to spend as much money as he could. He had private planes, expensive homes, and wild parties. In the 1980s, he allegedly offered to pay off his country's $10 billion national debt in exchange for not being extradited. Escobar is also said to have burned $2 million once just to keep his daughter warm while they were on the run. His brother claimed that about 10% of the money, or $2.1 billion, was lost each year because it was either eaten by rats, destroyed by weather, or just misplaced. Or maybe it washed up on a beach to be found by some lucky individuals. Number 11. Loch Ness Monster. We all love Nessie, the most famous lake monster in the world. Now, there's both good and bad news about the famous Scottish beast. It could really exist, but if it does, it's sadly already dead and gone to monster heaven. This is because some people think the mystery skeleton found on a Scottish beach after a storm could be the remains of the Loch Ness Monster. After a powerful storm hit the country in February of 2020, the rotting body was found on Balmedy Beach in Aberdeen. Photos of the body were posted on a community Facebook page, with captions like, "This terrifying new discovery on the beach changes everything." People were quick to say it could be the Loch Ness Monster, even though Loch Ness is more than 120 miles away from the beach where the bones were found. Others thought it might be an orca, a dolphin, a sea haggis, or a very lost saltwater crocodile. Nick Davidson from the Scottish Marine Animal Stranding Scheme, however, confirmed that it was the remains of a minke whale that had washed up in October of the previous year and had been hidden until the recent bad weather. Well, that ruined our monster party, I guess. Number 10. Rare albino whale washed up on Victorian Beach. The summer of 2022, a white whale washed up on a beach in the far east of Victoria, leaving people wondering if it was the famous white whale, Migaloo. Peter Coles, who lives in Malakuta, heard about the whale's body on the local radio station. The body was on a beach that could only be reached by water, so he got in his kayak and went to check it out. He said it was pretty spectacular. It looked like this beautiful sort of sculpture out of white marble. It was just unusual, so unusual, and made for some great photos actually. Vanessa Parada, a wildlife scientist at Macquarie University, is one of many people who wanted to know if the body really was that of the well-known white whale, Migaloo. Since 1991, Migaloo has been seen regularly off the coast of Australia. Photographs or genetic testing were used to determine if the whale was Migaloo, and fans of the famous whale were glad to hear that it wasn't. Migaloo is the most well-known humpback whale in the world and may very well be the only adult humpback whale that is completely white. It's just a little sad to see such an amazing creature like this washed up on the beach, whoever it may be. Number 9. 7 orcas stranded in Loch Ness. In this 2019 video clip, 6 killer whales were saved after they washed up on a popular Argentinian beach. Locals used ropes to pull the whales back into the water. This event happened in the town of Loch Ness, which is in the department of Mar Chiquita in the province of Buenos Aires on the east coast of Argentina. Out of the 7 orcas, only 1 died at the scene. The video shows a lot of people crowding around the whales and working together to push them back into the water. The most important part of the rescue operation was to keep the orcas from getting dehydrated while dragging them back into the water with ropes. Another expert said that the whales got stuck because climate change is causing tides to change. The expert also suggested that the killer whales became disoriented and swam into shallow waters where they got stranded. It's dangerous, but these people put themselves in harm's way to save the orcas. It's a reminder of the goodness in humanity and the gratitude animals can show when helped. Orcas are intelligent creatures, and one day, that orca may return the favor. Number 8. Bizarre sea monster washes up on Spanish shore. A strange and mysterious sea creature has baffled locals and experts after washing up on Luis Serret Beach in Valericos, Spain. The 4-meter-long creature, with what appear to be horns, was found decaying, sparking speculation about its origins. Some locals wondered if it could be a legendary sea monster, a relative of the Loch Ness monster, or even a prehistoric creature like a dinosaur. The unusual remains have made identification challenging. Suggestions ranged from a sea monster to an oarfish, but what exactly is this bizarre creature? Dean Grubbs, an ichthyologist at Florida State University, and an expert in the biology of fish and sharks, weighed in on the mystery. Grubbs confidently identified the remains as those of a shark. He explained that the horns are actually scapulocoracoids, which are bones that support the shark's pectoral fins. The skeletal elements toward the back, which initially caused confusion, are lower caudal fin supports. So, while the discovery might have seemed otherworldly, it turns out the sea monster is likely just the remains of a shark. Mystery solved. Number 7. Barnacle-covered wooden cross washes up on Florida beach. A giant cross was brought to the shore next to a resort in South Florida, a rare sight in 2019. The painted wooden cross, covered in barnacles, washed up on Fort Lauderdale's Ocean Manor Beach Resort. It quickly drew a crowd of tourists and other curious onlookers who wondered where the 20-foot-tall cross had come from. Some speculated it could have been a remnant from a shipwreck or a long-lost religious artifact carried across the waves over many years. The barnacles clinging to its surface seemed to tell a story of its journey through the ocean, sparking imaginations about where it might have originated. A few even wondered if it had been part of a forgotten maritime chapel or an old missionary ship. Frank Tellerico, the owner of the resort, said he was astonished to see it and thought it was a sign of divine protection. He also believed it was a sign from God because his sister had been praying at the beach that day after having a bad dream the night before. Tellerico said the resort would keep the cross and that people were welcome to come see it and take pictures with it. It took 7 people and 2 all-terrain vehicles to move it away from the water's edge and higher up on the sand. Some commenters on the resort's Facebook page also saw the cross as a sign from God. However, one idea, perhaps less divine, might be that someone lost the cross and it floated onto the beach eventually. Number 6. Garfield phones washing up on French beaches since the 1980s. The Garfield phones of Brittany are a peculiar example of how the 1980s were a time when people bought too much junk and didn't care about the environment. The famously grumpy cat-shaped phones have been washing up on French beaches for decades, but people who have been picking them up since the 1980s no longer find them amusing. Now, a local group called AR Viltansu, which works to keep the area clean, has found the source, a lost shipping container. During the Fat Cat's heyday, many of these phones were sold, and they are still considered collector's items. The trick with these phones is that when you pick one up, Garfield opens his eyes as if he's waking up. As a result, they had many small parts like plastic eye shells, cords, and electric components. Over the years, the phones have become symbolic of the trash washing up on shore. For a long time, the group suspected the phones came from a container that had washed or been blown overboard. Beach cleaners searched for the source for decades without success until a local farmer revealed that he had seen the phones on the beach in the early 1980s. They eventually found the container in a sea cave visible only when the tide was very low. Unfortunately, the container is buried under rocks and is difficult to access, so it will likely remain there forever. Number 5. Venomous blue dragons washing on shore along Texas beaches. Weird, creepy dolls aren't the only things being washed onto Texas beaches by these currents. It seems blue dragons, which are poisonous sea slugs, have also been washing up there. These sea slugs are only about 1 or 2 inches long, but their stings can be very painful. The strange-looking animals can be recognized by their fins that look like wings and their striking blue markings. Recently, these sea slugs have been seen on North Padre and Mustang Island beaches. Can a living thing be a piece of art? The answer is yes for the blue dragon, and it's incredibly beautiful. The blue dragon is a nudibranch, which is a type of mollusk or sea slug. It lives on the surface of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans and can also be found in temperate and tropical waters all over the world. However, in the United States, it's super unusual to see blue dragons on beaches. They generally prefer water that's much deeper, but unusual weather and strong winds from the shore are likely what brought these creatures onto land. Number 4. Thousands of bizarre sponge-like balls wash up on a French coast. On the Opal coast of France, there are clean sandy beaches that look out over the deep blue waters of the English Channel. A few years ago, though, this beautiful stretch of land was ruined by clumps of yellow spongy material that washed up everywhere. There were hundreds of thousands of the strange fluffy balls. At first, experts didn't know what was going on, but now they know what the strange substances were. Tests showed that the sponges are likely made of paraffin wax, which is derived from petroleum, coal, or oil shale. Candles, crayons, and food additives are just some of the things made with paraffin wax. The substance is often transported in large amounts by tanker ships. Since it floats, it rises to the top of the water and washes ashore in clumps. The government told people that paraffin doesn't pose a threat to public health, wildlife, or plants. However, experts on sea pollution said that if the substance contains chlorine or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, it could be very polluting and harmful to the environment. Does this mean the government is sweeping poisonous things under the carpet? I am shocked, simply shocked, I tell you. Number 3. Military drone washes ashore on Boynton Beach. Sea mines are one thing, but how about a military drone? It seems the US military is getting a bit clumsy with its expensive equipment being dropped into the ocean. That's what happened when a military drone washed up on the beach at Boynton Beach's Ocean Ridge Hammock Park. Lieutenant Savannah Bray, a public affairs officer for the U.S. Air Force's 53rd Wing, stated that the BQM-167A was one of their drones. Eglin Air Force Base is home to the 53rd Wing. Bray explained that the small, remote-controlled drone was part of a program to test weapon system. As part of the evaluation, fighter planes from the Department of Defense fire missiles at the drone, which acts as a fighter plane. This drone can go from 230 to 600 knots true airspeed at sea level, and its top speed is Mach 0.92. Can be launched from land using a rocket-assisted takeoff and a rail system, and a parachute system can bring it back to land or sea. After being checked out and fixed up, the drone is put back into service. Number 2. Rare sighting, giant squid found on Scarborough Beach. A strange find was made recently in Cape Town, South Africa, that caught the attention of researchers and beachgoers in the area. A giant squid about 4.3 meters long was found washed up among the rocks on Scarborough Beach. Its strange, alien-like appearance made people want to know more about it. Marine scientists were able to take tissue samples and measure the animal, which may help them learn about what the squid ate, how old it is, and what may have caused it to get stuck on the beach. Giant squids are usually hard to find because they live in the deep ocean between 300 and 1,000 meters below the surface. However, it's not uncommon for a giant squid to wash up on shore. Less than 6 months before the Scarborough squid was found, a 3.5-meter-long giant squid washed up on a beach near Cape Town. Researchers don't know for sure why these squids washed up, but they suspect it might be due to a behavior called deal vertical migration, where deep-sea organisms come to the surface at night to eat and return to deeper waters during the day. When ships hit the squid in shallow water, it could kill them, which is another possible hypothesis for the demise of this giant squid. Number 1. Ancient fossil found on a Tasmanian beach. A fossil of a plant-eating animal called a Dicynodon, thought to be 250 million years old, was found on a beach in Hobart, Australia. Dicynodons were a group of therapsid reptiles that lived during the late Permian and early Triassic periods but went extinct before the Jurassic began. They ate plants and ranged in size from small to large. These creatures were integral to their ecosystems, serving as primary herbivores that sustained a variety of predators. Fossil evidence suggests that they adapted to diverse environments, from arid regions to lush wetlands. Their tusks were likely used for digging roots or defending against predators, adding to their resilience in challenging habitats. Their name, which means two-dog teeth, comes from the fact that they had 2 tusks. They were also the most successful and diverse group of therapsids that aren't mammals, with over 70 known genera. All of them shared a basic body structure, resembling small tanks with powerful legs at each corner. They didn't move quickly, but they were strong and lived in groups like many herbivores do today. Their bodies were similar to animals like pigs and rhinoceroses, which are still around today. What's the strangest thing you've ever stumbled upon at the beach? Are you a fan of Stranger Things? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out more of our fascinating content popping up on your screen right now. See you in the next adventure.